We've been working with JP Morgan and MAS.
Ripple and Moz have been working on this technology for a while. They were running trials in 2017. We have all seen this photo. Brad was with high-level executives from the IMF, but also the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and other central banks in the Asian region. Why was the CEO of a fintech in this photo? A fintech that utilizes a digital asset.
We've been working with JP Morgan and MAS.
So I got asked this last week. I was speaking at a Morgan Stanley conference, and somebody asked me,
why was the CEO of a fintech that utilizes a digital asset speaking at the Morgan Stanley conference? At the conference Brad just mentioned, there was a JP Morgan Quorum demo and Ripple. Why was there also a Ripple demo? Perhaps they are working together. This slide is also from the event, and it specifically shows XRP.
There was this headline, set of headlines about about the JPM coin, and this guy was from Morgan Stanley who was interviewing me. I said, "So is Morgan Stanley going to use the JPM coin?" And he's like, "Well, probably not." And so, well, is Citi going to use the JPM coin? Is B of A going to use the JPM coin? Is PNC? And the answer is no. And so does that mean we're all going to have these different coins? And does that mean we're back to where we are, where there's lack of interoperability? So I don't get it. One more quick thing on JPM coin. So let's think about this. The JPM coin, they announced for institutional customers, if you give them $1 in deposits, they'll give you a JPM coin that you then can move within the JPM ledger. Wait a minute, just use the dollar.
Right.
Well, I really don't understand. If you're just moving it within the JPM ledger, and it has to be dollar to dollar, a one-to-one backing, it honestly doesn't I don't understand what problem that solves.
From nations to banks to corporates, it's all about trust. XRP is a trustless asset that is designed to be used by the banks.
On Project Ubin, this was announced last November. We're exploring a blockchain-based network for multi-currency payments and settlements. Okay.
Multi-currency payments and settlements. This situation that they're trying to solve is a perfect use case for a bridge currency.
Okay. And so we're trying to build an ecosystem around a new blockchain-based payments model, starting in Singapore.
It starts in Singapore. Singapore works with Bank of Canada, Bank of England, and the Bank of England is a paying Ripple customer. Ubin goes live and Coinbase as the Great British Pound XRP
using a digital currency.
They will be using a digital currency. Not blockchain, not distributed ledger, but a digital currency.
We'll announce more details when appropriate.
After he said the digital currency remark, he stopped himself and said, "We will announce more details as they come." A trustless asset breaking down fiat into micropayments and in 18 seconds transferring the risk from A to C to B. A micropayment will require even less trust, and this happens so quickly to limit risk exposure. In a world of negative interest rates, central banks can play hot potato with their poisonous currencies, and XRP bridges the gap between them.
With central bank stimulus weakening the dollar and gold being only about $100 short of its all-time high, the question has started to arise, can gold replace the US dollar as the world's reserve currency? The dollar has enjoyed this status for decades, but since it detached itself from the gold standard in 1971, it's essentially consistently weakened on a macro level. Confidence in the U.S. government and the political system in the U.S. is one of the keys, and gold doesn't have that issue of a loss of confidence. But what it does have is a problem with transportability. That's why it's more likely that a currency backed in gold, or even a digital asset backed in physical gold, could potentially replace the dollar much more easily than the actual physical bar of gold could.
They can do this right in front of everyone, and the average person will have no clue. Negative interest rates will slowly dwindle down people's accounts, while the banks and the governments and the big corporates will use something that is trusted. They will use real money.
But that is some challenge that we face because you want to hand out the cash for what purpose?
You want to stimulate the economy, right? You want people to spend those money, but there is no way that you can control this. But if we have something like what Anthony just mentioned, programmable money, okay, you can only spend this in this 3 months, and you have to spend it at the retail sector. Then you are supporting the real economy. So then your cash handout will be 100% going to your targeted supporting industry or segment.
The COVID crisis is accelerating adoption. Retail CBDCs will be a solution for physical policy. The next stimulus check can be issued into your digital wallet and will have an expiration. You will have to spend the stimulus money in a certain amount of time in the real economy. Central banks have pumped so much money into the financial economy and has done very little for the real economy. As the real economy is slowing, they simply need more tools. Interoperability is king here. While XRP, I believe, will be used on the wholesale level, all gardens will be bridged with
cross-border payment. If you look at some of the remittance, actually the cost is actually very, very high for those especially underserved communities, the foreign migrant workers, especially if the ticket, the amount is not as big. So comparatively, the percentage of charges and also the lack of transparency of the payment is a big problem. So that this project, the project Internet 9 Rock, is trying to solve that problem. We don't think that this is the only solution. The corridor network is only maybe one of the many possible solutions.
The Hong Kong Monetary Authority is Lion Rock, and Incheon is the Bank of Thailand.
And it may not be the best solution, but I think we are willing to try using this new method.
They are willing to try this new method, but Ripple's model with XRP is working. It's working today.
To do this cross-border payment. After we launched it, some people did ask me, well, why don't you just connect the two faster payment systems with each other? That solves also solves the same problem, right? I think we are aiming at a different level. We want to look into the future. We know that blockchain will be widely adopted at some point. Of course, now, as Dr. Richard said, technologically there is still room for improvement, and I think that the two experts here they can share more later on. But we believe if we just connect bilaterally the two faster payment system, that's only two, right? How about the third jurisdiction, the fourth jurisdiction? Then we have to do it all over again.
This is why a bridge asset is just simply more efficient.
But with the blockchain network between each other, like a corridor network, we can facilitate payment of multiple currencies, and that is exactly what our phase 2 project will look into. Thanks, James.
They're trying to update the old system with blockchain. While efficiency is what matters, XRP is efficient. The more complex a system is, the greater risk there is for problems. The central banks are going to test every which method they can find, but the end result is going to be XRP bridges all central bank projects.
And policy and principles on governance are actually continuously to evolve. So for me, what we're doing to make sure that this is still ongoing, we at R3 actually help out a lot of industry bodies to come together to design the appropriate policy and governance to help public sectors, private sectors from each jurisdiction, which is good, very strong at the moment. We have a lot of good inputs coming out from influential bodies such as the IMF, the World Economic Forum, BIS, who have provided a toolkit framework for the whole community to sort of use it as a toolkit.
MoneyGram was a test to prove to these organizations that Ripple has solved their problems. The private sector has led the way, and MoneyGram and Ripple is ready and it can work. The next we hear from MoneyGram and Ripple will be the next step. The next step will be even greater proof to the central banks. Time is of the essence for the central banks. As they inflate away the currency, they need a solution and don't have time to test every option. every option that is possible. At one point, they will have to make a decision, and the XRP solution is ready, tested, and has an escrow to be gifted. The ecosystem has been built around the XRP ledger. Exotic corridor liquidity, XRPL has a lot to offer the New World Order.
We certainly want to see banks succeed in this New World Order. We certainly want to see banks succeed in this New World Order.